Sean Payton was asked about Russell Wilson's team. He's got like a team of physical therapists, and they had access to the building. It basically has like a bunch of Alex Guerreros who have access to the building. So Sean Payton was asked about that yesterday, and here was his response.
Russell Wilson had a personal coach in the building with access who wasn't on the staff.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that.
How do you feel about players having their own people off the staff in the building, access to players?
Yeah, that's foreign to me. That's not going to take place here. I mean, I'm unfamiliar with it, but our staff will be here, our players will be here, and that'll be it.
Hey, Russ, clear out your office and get the hell out of here. Things are changing in Denver.
I mean, it's interesting, too, that he makes this statement publicly. And you wonder, like, have they had a conversation? Have they spoken about this, at this point? It doesn't sound like it. And if that's how he's going to communicate
this could go
through
bad
the media,
quick.
this could be bad quick. This could be bad quick because that could be the same way he reacts after a game.
Yeah.
And how he handles things with Russ. Which look, by the way, wasn't that kind of how Russ and Pete handled things back in Seattle?
Yeah. Sean Payton's very much, he's a control freak. Yeah, he's in control. And you know that coming in. And listen, if I'm Russell Wilson, after the season that he just had, I'm just going to do what Sean Payton wants me to do. I mean, let's just be clear. You had the opportunity to have the run of the show, the run of the building, and the result was poor. It was less than poor.
It was your worst season yet.
So, that's – some people talk about falling off of a cliff during your career. That's got to be a cliff fall. Like, that's got to be one of the most epic cliff falls in terms of looking at a guy as an elite talent and what that looked like from this year to the next year. I think Russell Wilson has way more things to consider and concern himself with moving forward than button heads with Sean Payton over changing policies or better yet, upholding rules and policy, because you're not supposed to have people that it's a restricted private area.
Because Belichick wasn't a fan of Guerrero towards the end of in New England.
Think about what LaVar is saying. Like, Russell has his own people in the building. Let's say those people see something or hear something they shouldn't be hearing. It's not private those people have to be under the governance of that team, that organization. They can't be just, subcontractors who are in there kind of hanging around the players and, privy to some insider knowledge, whether that's injury or schematic or for gambling. Whatever the case is. It's just there's a lot of private things that go on, and they shouldn't be privy to them or around any of that. And look, even if they were, upstairs somewhere off in their own office wing, the truth of the matter is, it's never happened before. Even the greatest of all time, his guy, they had to go open up shop somewhere else, which is how it should be done. You want to have your own team of physical therapists and all this stuff.
Do it at your house.
Yeah, do it at your house.
Do it somewhere else.
Go buy a fitness facility.
Yeah.
And go have it just like TB12 did.
Yeah, that wasn't at the complex, right? That was elsewhere.
He had it, I think, somewhere, in the vicinity, like in Patriot Place or whatever it is. I'm not quite sure on those details. I would say this. Russell Wilson, it feels like you lack self-awareness if you get to a point where you're doing all these things and you think these things are what's going to help you excel and reach that next step in the pinnacle of your craft or your career, and yet it actually sends you the opposite direction. And so sometimes that's why I think you have these coaches who come in and they can tell you what you either don't see for yourself, don't want to believe, or maybe a different way of doing things to help you get back on track. And it's probably one of those three things, but that's what Sean Payton's in there to do. So to go back to LaVar's first point, I think this all comes off of not being self-aware enough to be like, man, what am I doing? It doesn't matter if you're talking about the marketing campaigns, the advertisements, how he's kind of projected themselves, everything, getting there with the whole let's ride thing before. They didn't go anywhere. The horse is still in the stable. They never got out to even ride and go anywhere. So sometimes you need someone to come in there and tell you where you're wrong or what you need to do, or kind of take away and strip away all the BS to get back to, let's just go play football, Russ. Let's just go be a great quarterback. Let's not worry about, whatever else you're doing here or whatever else you're doing here.
Or hollering out, run, pass.
Yeah. Like, none of that matters. None of that matters if you're not playing well.
Hey, Russ, go look at your surface, man. Go talk to the OC, man. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, if you don't get your ass up out of my face with that.
By the way, do they still have the Danger Witch? Does Subway still have the Danger Witch?
No, it was short-lived.
Yeah. Those commercials didn't stick around for long. And listen, if anybody's got a great track record with spokesmen, I mean, it's Subway for sure. Considering their history, so that would be the company you'd want to trust there, since they know how to pick.
Hey, man, Jake Layers has been a part of that for a while. I did an ad for Subway.
I think Strahan did some.
Yeah, a lot of people did some.
And then
what are you doing there?
And then there was,
Jared?
There was that other weirdo. Yeah, so there was that as well, too.
Yeah, he got caught up into a little bit of trouble, didn't he?
A little bit.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, a little trouble.
Yeah.
But back to Russ. It's going to be intriguing. He will be one of the most intriguing storylines coming into this season, even in the off season.
Does he lose the office?
Yeah.
Or does he get
it's gone.
I think you 100%
It's gone.
the office.
God.
It's gone.
But what if it's in his contract? What if that's drawn in his contract?
Take that out.
What if he doesn't want it taken out of his contract?
What's the recourse? What's he going to do?
I don't know. It would be interesting. I mean, a contract is a contract. I don't know what he would do, but wouldn't it be interesting if it came down to, like, contract, this is my contract, like, right there, paragraph 5, like, I'm not coming out of my office.
Here's the thing is, I think we would have known, because all the contracts are public, right? Like, they're filed, you can go see them, you can read the language within them. If it was in the contract, we would have seen it by now. If there's a video game clause in Kyler Murray's, we would have seen an office, clause in Russell Wilson's. So it's not in the contract.
All right. Well, then it's gone.
So
if it's not contractual, and listen, he shouldn't want to separate himself like that.
Right.
Like them players.
That's the self-awareness thing, though, right?
Yeah, it is.
Why would you want to be put on a pedestal, especially when you just got there?
Football is one of those sports where socio-economic, racial, any type of background that you're connected to, all things are even to teammates. Like, you're my teammate.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so when we come in here and we go in the weight room, we're lifting the same weights. When we go see the trainer, we go use the same trainers. When we go into the locker room, we have the same type of lockers. Like everything, it's all the same. So if I'm a player and I'm looking at the fact that this dude has his own office, or he's got all these dudes from his team walking around the facility, and this is Russ's building, there's going to be resentment from some of those guys. There's going to be a lack of buy-in from some of these guys. There's going to be some guys that are like, that's Russ, like he's the superstar, that's how it is. You're going to have those guys, but you're going to have other guys that's like, he ain't one of us. Like, you're not one of us. And you don't want to be in a locker room where the guys you're going to go to war with on Sundays is looking at you like WTF.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, who are you? Who's the guy?
Peyton didn't do it when he was there, all right? I mean, Tom Brady didn't do it in New England or in Tampa as far as conducting himself in that manner. I mean, you can go through the list of Hall of Fame quarterbacks that didn't do it. I just think I bring up self-awareness only because there's a thing called EQ, right? It's called emotional intelligence. It's got basically being able to, like, read the room. It's really important for a leader. It's really important for someone as a quarterback who's in that position because to what you're talking about, you got to get guys to elevate their level of play. You got to get guys who want to play for you. And if you think about really what happened and transpired in Seattle is he lost the locker room. It wasn't Pete that lost the locker room. Coaches lose locker rooms when they lose that sense and feel for the guys and what they need to hear and what they need to do and how to be successful. Quarterbacks can lose it too. Mm-hmm. And I think you lose it when you get out of touch with the guys you're playing with and you start separating yourselves from the guys you're playing with. And all of a sudden your goals and what you're trying to accomplish aren't aligned. And
it becomes bigger than the team.
Well, and that's the worst thing you can do as a leader is not make everything about the team, about everyone else beside yourself. And I think this problem, it predates when he got to Denver.
Yeah.
It's why when they played Seattle this year and you saw so many Seattle Seahawks come back and almost want to root against them, wanted to see Seattle win. And it's because he lost a lot of that because of the lack of self-awareness with it all.
I mean, was it all like to me? I always ask the question: was it always like that, and it just became public knowledge? It doesn't seem like people.
I was with him in his second year. It was not like that.
It wasn't like that.
No, but they hadn't won a Super Bowl yet, and they ended up winning that year, and it was different. You know, he was young. They were very, very much led by their defense and a lot of those stronger personalities, guys like Richard Sherman, Red Bryant, Cliff Averill. Bobby Wags was still young, right? They're the same draft class. So it was a defensive-led team, but the guys who really were the most outspoken, and that was a very, very unique locker room environment. Like, the locker room handled everything. Like, it was very unique in that sense. And Russell did his job, but, and Marshawn was there in the backfield, but it was not like one where, it's Tom Brady or Peyton Manning walking up and saying anything. Now, I don't know if that changed once they won, once they went to back-to-back, once he started to play and become a consistently Pro Bowl caliber player. But at that point, that was not how that team was constructed.
It comes across very interesting as a spectator as to how he handles his situations. I mean, it's definitely about a persona, right? I mean, let's be clear. Everything that he does is connected to a faith-based, family-based, strong leader, super megastar, mega power couple persona. And when when you're building that type of persona, you got to be careful in understanding that you could be building that for the better good of what you're doing, right? You want people to be, Christ-like. Great. That's your deal. That's your deal. You want people to be family oriented. Great. That's your deal. That's your deal. And you talked about that kind of the perception of who he is and raising guys' level and putting that first. I don't care what your agenda is. Just make sure I feel important.
Right.
Like if Russell Wilson can learn to embrace that, listen, all these things you have, all your agendas, great. Just make sure like your teammate, like your teammates, make sure we feel special. That's all. You could do all that, and you know what? I'll support you. You want to go to church? Let's go.
So you don't mind that he's like a Joel Osteen knockoff.
He could be as much of that as he would want to be. Is it Ornstein? I don't know if it's Osteen.
Osteen.
Is that how you say it?
Osteen.
It's just O? There's no L?
O-S-T.
Are you sure it's that Olstein?
Could be.
I thought there was a R in there.
L. Fact check that.
I wouldn't even know. I thought it was Ornstein.
All right, I'm pretty sure.
Ornstein.
That's a different church.
Yeah, that is a different church.
Lee, can we get proper spelling on that? Is it
Joel
Osteen?
Ornstein.
I think it's Osteen, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, listen. I will go sit with you, and I will go sit.
Joel Osteen Insider.
Safe.
Update my Twitter bio.
Osteen. Hey,
are we sure? Are we sure Osteen is it?
Yeah. Joel Osteen.
Is it maybe? All right.
That's still Jewish, isn't it? Even without the R.
What?
Steen.
Osteen's. He's not Jewish.
He might be Jewish.
He's a pastor. He's not Jewish.
I know, but maybe.
We're talking about.
Maybe he was born.
We're talking
Jewish.
about people's identity crisis here. Maybe.
Maybe we need to have a conversation about Joel. Regardless, just make me feel. You know what Joel does. You know what Joel has a great
point.
Joel makes you feel special.
Hey, who he talking to?
He's talking to your ass. I'm just saying he's just trying. He's got to figure that piece of it out. Like you said, you can't put everybody else's agenda behind yours.
Maybe he's just a weirdo. I mean, like maybe he is.
And maybe he just found himself a little bit out of touch because of the amount of success. I mean, it's not every day that you have the amount of success he has.
Very young on too.
I mean, you end up marrying Sierra. I mean, come on.
There's a lot.
It's not every day. It's not every.
Go Hawks.
Like the way he said, "Go Hawks!" right there, right?
Yeah.
He's flexing. That's a flex. Like he didn't say like go Hawks. Like there was no.
We got a deal.
Yeah.
I get it though. I mean, I get it.
It's a persona.
There's a certain point if you like think about his even college career. He was good really early on at NC State. I mean, like very prolific for a guy who came in and played early in his career.
And then he got Mike Glennon.
For an undersized guy that got overlooked. He chose to go play baseball. He comes back. I believe it was Tom O'Brien was his coach. And he's like, yeah, we're going to move on with this Glennon guy. And so he's forced to go to Wisconsin. I think they won the Big Ten championship that year.
Yeah.
I mean, he is really like every step of the way he's kind of proved himself, but I also feel like he's had a chip on his shoulder to feel like he had to prove himself.
That's what it is. He's an overcompensator. That's what it is.
Good night.
Russell Wilson, he's an overachiever.
Thank you, Russ.
He's an overachiever, but he's also an overcompensator. Like that's it. For me, that's it. If he learns how to stop overcompensating for whatever that overcompensation is, whatever it's connected to, if he stops overcompensating,
thank you, Russ.
I'm done. I hate you, Berto.
I'm just glad
I hate you, Berto.
You got to be unlimited.
I mean, listen.
Hey, Berto, quick question, Berto. Would you take Russell Wilson on the Raiders?
Hell no.
Yeah.
Wow. One bad year. One bad year. Now you're saying that?
You got Stidham. You don't need Russell Wilson.
You know, I know I've been great.
Very
I will
humble.
be great.
Berto thinks he's getting Rodgers.
It's just a humble guy.
It's overcompensating. That's what it is.
Well,
he's got to come. Whatever it is that he's doing that for, he's got to come to peace with it before it ruins. Before he becomes a Icarus of football, like it could ruin his career.
My mom watches Joel Osteen, by the way.
Yeah.
Am I saying Ol or Osteen?
Osteen.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Osteen.
So it's either going to be a success with Sean Payton or just a disaster. And
Well,
who do you think?
So here's what's interesting. Payton signed a 5-year deal. Russell's on a contract for 6 more. Like Russ's contract outlasts Payton, even though obviously if you look at the guarantees, those are up at some point. They can move on. It's a little more reasonable. But, I mean, I think most people would think this is going to take a couple of years. We'll see where it goes before the Broncos could move on from Russell Wilson.
So you think push comes to shove, they'll move on from Russ before they move on from Sean?
No.
Payton?
You think they'll move on from Sean?
I think they'd move on from Russ.
I mean, early on, Russell Wilson has the leverage. Early on,
He's got to play better, though.
he's got to play. He does, but he's got the leverage. Like he can't. Sean Payton can't just go up in there and strong arm Russ.
Well, yeah, I mean, Russ has been to more Super Bowls. He's won just as many as Sean Payton.
I don't know. It's so funny, Russ. We're trying to talk about your career here.
I mean,
Man, laughing so
and you're
hard.
facing the same exact situation in Arizona, and I'm not so sure that isn't why they haven't been able to get a coach yet.
Well, Sean Payton still needs to find his all-star staff right now. They got D coordinators signing other places left and right.
But Fangio got, $4.2 million?
4.5, something like that. Yeah. They better keep
That's
Sean
awesome.
Desai there in Denver before let him go.